Kia ora, Brent. Thanks for being here to be interviewed today. It's so important that the story of ordinary New Zealanders are captured for this documentary. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, Billy, I was in the Navy in 1973. I'm now a war veteran, been exposed to nuclear fallout. I worked for the police for 8 years as a self-defence policeman and also 4 years at Ruakaka at the front counter. I like to think I'm a law-abiding citizen, but my whole life turned to custard back in 15th and 9th, 21.
You've got your operational service medals right there. So pretty much an ordinary law-abiding citizen, but even more than that, a servant of the community?
Yes, that's correct. I worked on many community projects as well.
I guess the logical question after that is, are you a nut job conspiracy theorist?
No, I'm not, but I do believe in my freedoms and my rights.
What have the consequences been, your arrest and all of this in the last almost 3 years really?
Since my Navy days and that, I have suffered from depression and anxiety at times and that. When this came apart and I got arrested, my anxiety went through the roof and my state of depression, I felt like committing suicide. To be a New Zealand citizen with good morals, upstanding, and then to be treated like trash and being called a second-rate citizen, I reached the lowest point in my life. I never thought it could get that bad.
Can you believe that New Zealanders are a part of this and have done this?
Friends turned on me. They didn't want me to come to their houses because I wasn't vaxxed. And they've been friends for life, you know. How does that work? What Jacinda did was turn the nation against brothers and sisters and friends against friends, and they split and divide and conquer. It's one of the worst things in history that I think has happened in this country.
Just off camera, we were just talking about an experience that you had. You felt that there were double standards. You knew of other people that had used the same exemption to go into the same petrol station, got through, got in and out, no hassles, but you got hassled, right?
Yep.
So you then get in touch with the Human Rights Commission, sent them the information about your case and said that this is a clear-cut case of discrimination of a type.
Yeah.
What was the response from them?
I went through the whole procedure until we get to the final part where they actually take them to court, and then they said we didn't have enough evidence to carry on with it. Yet I had a friend of mine that went in the service station, produced her card and paid over the counter. She wasn't told to pay at the outside window like me. So I thought that's a clear case of discrimination. But they just wiped my hands on me, they didn't want to borrow me, and said I have to produce my own lawyer, which I was going to, and then I thought at the end of the day, the way the court system goes, Billy, I don't think I would have had a chance either. You know, the judges, they're all in the same boat as far as I'm concerned, so I withdrew. Would
it surprise you to know that Amnesty International said the same thing to me about my arrest?
No, really? Amazing.
And we've got all the evidence of it.
Yeah.
Do you think that, can't be looking at all of this without any outrage and anger and all that? Do you think there is an ideology being pursued here and imposed and inflicted that unless you agree with it, they're going to punish you?
Oh, absolutely, Billy. It's either our way or highway, That's what really got to me was the punishment. Our body, our choice. They've told us all along. So why punish us when we refuse their poison? That's what I call it, a poison. And the treatment I got from so many Kiwis for not rejecting it, you feel like you're a nutter or something. That's what you feel like. And it does affect your mind. You think, wow, am I really a conspiracy theorist? Am I a real nutter? No, but just because you don't follow the trend, and people would say to you, you're doing your bit for the country. Wow, that just blew me out of the water.
Yeah, okay. Brent, the New Zealand government came out and said that COVID-19 was going to be the worst disease we've ever seen in New Zealand shores since the Spanish flu of 1918. And yet, on the other hand, they said there was a survivability rate of around 99.97% for most New Zealanders, which means it's within the same range as a seasonal flu. How do you feel about a government that has done all this based on something that is literally the equivalent of a flu type situation?
I believe that the chances are good. I've got a good immune system and good antibodies. I thought I don't need the vaccine, and I didn't believe it. I thought your natural immunity will pull you through, which it did. I got COVID, I didn't die, and my natural immunity's pulled me through. So I'm a happy chippy.
The government says that they are the single source of truth. That famous statement by Jacinda Ardern, we will be your single source of truth. Yet they were saying that you had to wear masks, so it was safe. Lockdowns were going to work. Then the vaccination campaign rolled out, and they were saying that the vaccine's safe, that the vaccine will stop you from getting the disease and being infectious with it. All those things have been completely debunked now. People from both sides of the debate are ready to admit that. Can we trust the government that is continuing to propagate stuff that is not true?
No, not at all, Billy. It was always one-way propaganda for 2 years, pumped and pumped and pumped. I couldn't trust them. They pushed this vaccine onto people and they bribed people. They gave them incentives to get it. Well, if it's that good, they shouldn't have to bribe people or give them incentives. And so, no, I didn't trust them, and I didn't trust them back in 1973 either, when the French bomb tests were on.
So you went to the bomb testing region in the South Pacific. What was that like for you?
We were told when we left the shores that we wouldn't be exposed to radiation. Well, the government put us right under the bomb, 15 miles from the actual, when the bomb went off. 240 guys on the ship, 180 guys have died of cancer-related illnesses. Nothing's ever been compensated. We've never had an apology. It's terrible. So we're human guinea pigs in 73, and then they wanted to try me again on this round. I thought, no, I'm not having a bar of it.
So despite all of that, you were still willing to be a military man, to work with the police, become a civil defence policeman and volunteer police worker. And I've been those things myself, despite this treatment.
Billy, you put yourself out there, you do the things for the government and the community and everything, and then you get called second-rate citizen by Jacinda Ardern. I felt the lowest of my whole life. It's a low point in my life to be called a second-rate citizen after my commitment to the Navy, to the police and everything else. It was mind destroying.
Brent, I've known you for a few years now, and I can see you're very logical, very stable, very grounded, and just a good Kiwi fella. You've seen something that you intuitively knew was wrong, then you did your own research and came to a critical conclusion based on critical evidence that this stuff wasn't adding up, right? So you can't be looked at it. How do you feel when you've got people like the Disinformation Project, Kate Hanna, Sanjana, Paula Penfold, you've got all these people, including politicians like Jacinda Ardern, that look at you and say you are part of a river of filth, you're unstable, you're a conspiracy nut job, and you live in an echo chamber?
I think it's terrible. We're New Zealand citizens. We've done the right thing, and yet because we don't bow down and take the poison, we get ostracised. I just won't bow to pressure. I won't be forced into something that I don't agree on, and I never will agree on this ever.
Now, you went down to the parliamentary protest at the occupation last February, and we had Black Lives Matter protests the year before, which James Shaw came out and addressed them all, and they all did the cheering and all good stuff. Not one politician came out to address the people. What do you think about that?
I don't know whether I'd ever vote again. How can you trust a politician that don't come out for the people? Not one politician. I don't know if they signed an agreement or what they did, but they never came out and addressed us. And my faith in politicians just went down the gutter. I just couldn't believe that not one out of every parliament member could stay in that building for those 23 days. It was despicable, terrible. That in itself is a conspiracy.
How do you feel about those MPs that got voted out? They didn't get back into Parliament in 2020. They were silent all the way through these human rights and New Zealand Bill of Rights abuses. How do you feel about those guys now suddenly appearing on the scene as freedom-fighting politicians? Do you believe it?
No, I don't, Billy. I think the turncoats, they should have put their life on the line when it mattered. It's too late now. It's too late. You know, they can say whatever they want and get it behind, the people, but it's too late. It's too late.
What happened to you in 2021?
I went to the Caltex service station in Poirot. I went to pay for my petrol at the counter, and they said I couldn't pay there. I had to pay on the outside window. I refused to. I said, look, I've got a government exemption for masks. And they said to me, then you're trespassed. And I said, really? And they said, yeah. And they called the police, and the police came, and they read me my rights, and said I was under arrest. Followed me in my vehicle back to the police station, and they said you're free to go, but you'll get a warning in the mail. It
says, Brent, tēnā koe, Brent. You've been formally warned by police for willful trespass. Now, have you ever been in a situation whereby you've had this type of negative interaction with police before?
Never in my life. I'm pro-police and always have been. This put a different light on things.
Funny enough, you've got an I am exempt from wearing a face covering. It's on a Northland District Police clip here. How did you get that?
Given to me by a mate for 4 years service. I enjoyed doing the work I did. Loved to be part of the community and help out. But my treatment at that service station that day was terrible. I couldn't believe that I could be arrested for not wearing a mask.
And so, in effect, criminalising someone who's not a criminal.
Yeah, well, that's a fair description, but law-abiding citizens got caught up in this whole saga.
There's nothing more disturbing to someone than being arrested, really, let alone someone who's been arrested for the wrong reasons. How did it make you feel to be arrested, given that you've researched face masks and know that they don't protect you from anything?
I felt I was in my rights. When I got this government-approved mask exemption, I thought I'm within my rights, but it didn't mean squiddy did. Like this, you might as well use it for toilet paper.
This letter that I'm holding here is a letter from the police. Now, what did you do after you were arrested and realised that you were going to get a formal warning? What did you do then?
Well, I knew straight away when I got the warning that it was going to go on a police file and I was going to be in the data system. I've got a clean slate and always have, and I didn't want that in the system, so I approached my lawyer and we put a letter to the police. For a period of time, they came back and they were through it, yep.
So I'm just going to read the generalities from this, and it says, Tēnā koe Brent, on the 15th of the 9th, 21, you were formally warned by police for willful trespass. Upon notification that you had contested the warning, a panel was convened to review the circumstances. The panel consisted of Inspector F and Sergeant N. After considering all of the information, the panel has withdrawn the police formal warning. Please refer to the enclosed document that sets out the panel's decision. The police database has been updated and the formal warning has been removed. So all of that has been erased. There's no record of it now, but it still cost you a few $1,000 to get there, didn't it?
Yeah, it did about that. It's $3,500 to get off a warning. The sergeant at the Pyrol station said he'd never seen anybody contest a warning in 30 years, but to me it meant everything, especially when I'd done so much for the police.
And the community,
and
your country. As a law-abiding citizen who cares about your community, how do you feel about being treated this way? And would you say that Jacinda Ardern's call to action to be kind to the nation in dealing with this COVID-19 issue, do you feel that that was kind, that it was logical, that it was fair?
No, I wasn't kind, Billy. And also, I got punished lots of times through that COVID, not being vaxxed and everything else. I'm not anti-vaxxer, but I'm pro-choice. I choose not to wear a mask. I choose not to be a vaxxed. That's our freedom in New Zealand. That's what I was brought up on, democracy and freedom. But everything was stripped from us through that period. I couldn't believe that people could treat us like that.
How do you feel about a New Zealand government saying that unless you have a vax passport, unless you wear a mask, you can't go somewhere?
I think it's despicable. As I say, we're brought up with freedoms and I've never known this treatment in my life. I'm now 67. This has been a real trauma and a real learning exercise. I just couldn't believe that the government could put normal citizens through this drama. It's terrible.
We had Jacinda Ardern appear at Harvard University, where she famously characterised all those people that disagree with her and her government's policy on anything. She describes us as being unfamiliar with adequate hygiene practices, echo chamber dwellers, lone keyboard warriors who like to wear superhero costumes that are baggy in all the wrong places. Now, do you have like a Thor costume in your closet that you whip out every now and then to send nasty emails out to the government?
No, I don't, Billy. I don't want to get taken down that rabbit hole because you're no better than them. If you drop to those standards, you're no better than them. I know right from wrong. I know that my freedom and my democracy have been fought by my forefathers. They tried to take it away from us and they'll never win. The people will always win in my books.
Now that the COVID-19 narrative has been debunked, you've had Bill Gates say that the injection, for example, won't stop you from getting the sickness, won't stop you from passing it on, doesn't offer immunity to any significant level, and that it's just been a complete horror experiment gone wrong. Do you think that New Zealanders are slowly but surely waking up to this?
Oh, absolutely, Billy. Now, a lot of my friends now that have had the jabs and all that, they're horrified. I've got friends who wish they'd never taken it, but they can't turn the clock back. It's in their system, can't be taken out. They're absolutely terrified, and I've got so many friends suffering from adverse side effects. They just can't believe that they got sucked into that momentum of the propaganda and the push by the government to inject all their citizens with this COVID.
Thank you for your time today, Brent. It's meant a lot to have you here. Thank you for taking the effort to get here today. It's been really awesome to have you here. Thank you for your story and kia kaha.
Yeah, kia kaha. Thanks, everyone. Much appreciated.